the best way to spend your tax refund. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Money Anonymous. I'm Kira Jones, financial coach and founder of Financial Intervention Academy, here to discuss your personal finance questions anonymously. And now on to today's question. Need advice on what to do with $1,900 tax refund. Currently looking at this debt-wise, $10,000 Discover card at 23% interest, minimum payment around $240. I actually pay around $600. Already cut up and frozen the card and hasn't been used to purchase anything since November. $15.9 thousand on an auto loan at 5.4% interest with my minimum payment $306. The car is only valued at $13,000, but I do have gap insurance if an accident happens. Emergency fund, $650, adding roughly $300 a month with the goal of $3,000, which is about 3 months of minimum expenses. Basically, just want to know whether it would be better to apply the $1,900 to one of the two debts or to put it in my emergency fund so I can add that $300 per month to my normal monthly payments to build to my credit card bills. I almost always recommend before you pay off any debt that you have an emergency fund with at least 1 month's worth of expenses saved up. Then you can start paying off debt. If your total debt situation is only one credit card and one auto loan, then I absolutely think you should tackle the high interest credit card debt first. If you currently have $650 in savings and $3,000 is about 3 months of expenses, then I'm going to guess that your monthly expenses are right around $1,000, which means you're close to your first savings goal of $1,000, which I often call the starter emergency fund. So how quickly can you get to that? Is it possible to have your starter emergency fund of $1,000 set aside before your tax refund comes? If so, that's great. And just spend the entire refund to pay down the Discover card. But if you just aren't quite at the $1,000 yet, then use however much of your refund you need to have the $1,000 set aside, and then use whatever's remaining to pay down the Discover card. At some point, you do want to try to get your car loan paid down to less than what the car is worth. Keep an eye on this number. Cars tend to go down in value every year, sometimes by as much as 10 to 15%. So for you, I would suggest something like this. Once you get that Discover card fully paid off, you can then start paying off your vehicle. But I would suggest before you do that, build your emergency fund to 3 months worth of expenses first. After your vehicle loan is paid off, I would then suggest that you go back to your emergency fund and build that up to 6 months worth of savings for a fully funded emergency fund. So for anyone receiving a tax refund this year, if you don't have at least 1 month's worth of expenses in a savings account, preferably a high yield savings account, then this is absolutely the number one thing you should do with your refund. When it comes to either doing the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, the answer most often is both. You could use your extra monthly cash flow to pay down the smallest balances first, which is the debt snowball method. But then when you get lump sums or larger amounts of cash, like tax returns, it's a good opportunity to make a big dent on those larger interest, larger balance accounts. That's the debt avalanche, is the largest interest rate, or the highest balances, which often have the highest monthly payments. So that would be the Robert Kiyosaki method. He's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you have a lot of maxed out credit cards, which means your balance is more than 70% of your available limit, also known as credit utilization ratio, ideally, you don't ever want a credit utilization more than 30% per card and overall across all your debt. If you have a lot of credit cards and many of them have maxed out or nearly maxed out balances, you could try to maximize your tax refund to pay as many credit card accounts down under 70% utilization as you possibly can. This, of course, is assuming you have your 1 month emergency fund. So strategically using your refund in this way, bringing all accounts away from being considered maxed out, can have a huge benefit to your credit score, which can sometimes be just the bump you need to get approved for a debt consolidation loan or for your remaining credit card debt, like a zero balance transfer card. Those are the hardest to get approved for. Debt consolidation loans and zero balance transfer cards, you often sometimes need a mid to high 700s to get approved for these. So if your credit card balances are all over 70% utilization, you're not likely to get approved for these products. So that's my advice for any tax refund. 1, prioritize 1 month emergency fund first. 2, pay down high interest, high balance credit card debt. And if you already have an emergency fund and a minimal credit card debt, then I usually recommend that you use 10 to 30% of your refund to treat yourself to something nice. But I usually recommend that you use that treat as your reward for spending the rest of your tax refund on your next financial goal first, and then you can treat yourself. But be intentional about this. If you know you're getting a refund for $2,000 and you already have your emergency fund, you can make a plan that looks something like this. 50% could go towards credit card debt. That'd be $1,000. 20% can go towards, say, a certification class to improve your odds for a raise at work. 10% remaining, $200, could be added to your emergency fund to work towards your next savings goal, be that a 3-month or a 6-month or even a 12-month. And then that last 20% is going to your treat yourself fund, so $400. We'll make a plan for that too. Treat yourself to $200, make a plan for that, say as new clothes, and $200 for some art supplies. So now that you've maximized your refund to move the needle, so to speak, on 4 different areas of your life, you paid down debt, you learned skills to make you a more valuable employee, possibly getting you a raise, you added to your savings goals, and even treated yourself to much needed clothes and funding a hobby for those important times when you need to check out and recharge. I hope that helps you begin to rethink how to prioritize not just your tax refund, but any larger lump sums of cash that you come into. You should be asking yourself these same questions. How's my savings looking? And do I have lots of high interest debt? The real fun part comes when you get debt paid off and you have a fully funded emergency fund, and now you're no longer paying for your past, but you're using your refund for things that enrich and add to your life, like vacations, concert tickets, and family fun stuff. So that's going to be it actually for episode 9, guys. If you would like to submit a question for a future episode, please fill out the anonymous Google form. The link is in the description below. And we'll see you on the next episode, 10 for Money Anonymous, where I talk about what to do when you are drowning in debt and can't stop living behind your means. And disclaimer time. Every situation is unique, and there is never just one right answer to questions about personal finance. Everything I discuss in today's video is meant for education and informational purposes only and should not be taken as financial advice. Everything in today's scenario, there are things that are missing. That's very important details that I would also figure out and discuss with a client before giving them a range of options, so they are fully informed and about their situation and options, so they can decide what's right for them in their situation and their family. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and we will see you on the next episode.